All right, we've got a bit of a problem here. As creators, there are thousands of things that go into a good YouTube video. And one of the things that you don't want to get wrong is your YouTube titles. But myself and so many other creators have seen our click-through rates skyrocket when our titles are dialed in. Today, I'm going to tell you the top mistakes creators are making and some of the psychology behind how to fix them. Oh, and by the way, after I give you all of those fixes, I'm going to point you to a bonus video that after you watch, you will be creating and crafting titles like some of the top YouTubers on this platform. So stick around. The first and probably easiest mistake to correct is title length. So many people create titles that are very descriptive. They think that that's going to help people want to click. The problem is that a title that's too long won't even show up on the YouTube homepage. Let me tell you what I mean. So look at the homepage right here. I'm just gonna scroll. I didn't pre-prep any of these right here. Let's see if I can find one. Okay, this one right here. YouTube demonetization timestamps, Spotify podcast chapters, and more, BSP 390. So this title is just short enough that it actually all fits, but any longer than that, and it wouldn't even show up on the homepage. I mean, it would just cut off. And let's be honest, when people are scrolling the homepage of YouTube or scrolling on their phone or whatever on their TV, they're not going to take the time to read an entire title that's super, super long. People have very short attention spans, and when they're just scrolling looking for something to click on, you're not going to get the value out of a really long title. Now, does that mean that there are no successful videos out there with titles over 65 characters? Of course not. But a good rule of thumb, especially if you're just getting started, is to never go over that 65 character limit. Now, really quick, what do I mean by putting the most important things at the beginning of your title? I'm talking about the things that are going to generate curiosity and make people want to click. Any of those things that you can put in the front end of your title are going to get people. Now, those are things like statistics or the really cool things that are in your video, or any time element. Again, it's anything that causes curiosity that will make people want to click into your video. This next mistake that people make is a little bit nuanced, so stick with me here. Now we're going to talk about interest elements. So many times when I go to read a title on YouTube, I say that they're very specific, and it feels like the creator was trying to optimize maybe for a search engine rather than me as an audience member. Now, if we look at the same title, this photography outdoor portrait with honeycomb grid one, single light, off camera, flash tips, midday sun. That doesn't feel very optimized for me as a viewer. It is very descriptive. So if I happen to be looking for that very specific thing, then yes, that would be a good title. But it's not something that drives intrigue or curiosity. Another word for this, honestly, is just boring. Our titles should be creating interest. We always talk about how thumbnails need to be catching people's attention and driving interest. The title needs to be working very closely with the thumbnail to continue to drive that interest, to widen that curiosity gap so that we actually get people to convert and click into our videos. Now, here's one of the reasons that a lot of people make this mistake. It's because early on, when you're a brand new YouTuber, a lot of times we try and get search traffic. And when you're trying to target search traffic, you do want to be very descriptive. But there are ways that you can make your title descriptive, but also interesting. And that could be by putting some of the more interesting elements in the thumbnail, and then just one or two interest elements in the title, or flip-flopping it around. Maybe your thumbnail is a little bit more descriptive, but then your title is less descriptive, and together the combo works really well. Overall, the biggest takeaway here is don't focus too much on the keyword or SEO side of things. We're actually going to be working on a video here talking about YouTube SEO, and it's a little bit less important than you would imagine. So really focus on the audience experience, the people who you really want to click on your videos. Focus on them and what would get them to click, rather than trying to optimize for the YouTube algorithm. Because at the end of the day, the algorithm is the audience. Okay, really quick before I move on, I was planning to put this call to action at the end of the video, but it was too good and I didn't want any of you to miss it. The cool thing about titles is that you can update them so easily. And since that's the case, I want you to start going back through some of your old titles and updating them. I guarantee you that as you start looking through some of your old videos, you're gonna see titles that are just not optimized. It's not something that you would have done now, but maybe it was something that you just didn't know any better at the time. And so go through in batches of 5 and start fixing your titles using some of the things that you learned in this video and other videos on YouTube. All right, next up, YouTube titles that are too clever. This is a trap that we have fallen into many times, and I know many of you are falling into. Now, what do I mean by clever? This is anything that is like a pun, an inside joke, a reference to pop culture. It's something that you feel very related to yourself as the creator, but it would just be very easy for people to miss. One example, just not too long ago, we did this title and thumbnail combo on our channel where I was eating popcorn like the Michael Jackson meme. Now, we thought it was really funny and we got really into it. We set up this whole photo shoot. But the thing is, not that many people got it. But the problem is, without the context of all of our discussion that we had in planning and preparing the title and thumbnail combo, it just didn't work out. And so we do these things all the time. If it's not something that's easily understood without any context, it's just not a good thing to put in your title. Some of those puns or inside jokes or pop culture references, those are things that you could put inside your video because you're gonna have a better way to reference them and help people understand what you're talking about. For example, that Michael Jackson meme. If we had done that inside the video where I had like started eating the popcorn and then we were able to flash the meme up on the screen, it would have made a lot more sense. But when people are looking at the title and thumbnail, they are literally looking for a split second, and that's just not long enough to process inside jokes, memes, or anything like that. This next mistake is probably the most detrimental mistake that creators can make, and that is promise versus payoff. You've probably heard YouTube creators talk so much about, creating curiosity, getting people to click. And that's great. We really do want people to click on our videos, but what happens when you promise them something with your title and probably your thumbnail, but then you don't deliver on it? I see this happening on YouTube fairly often, where someone will either under promise and then over deliver, which is a really good thing, but we're going to talk about why it's a little bit of a problem, or people will way over promise and then significantly under deliver. So let's talk about what that means for you on your channel. So let's say you have a title and thumbnail combo that you sort of under promise on. Let's say you did some really cool challenge or you worked on this really awesome project, but you just sort of under promise on your title and thumbnail. Well, as you would imagine, you're not going to get people to click through or convert as well as you would like because they don't know the reason why they should. If you're under promising, that really just means that you're not giving them a very good reason to click. So the people who do end up clicking are going to be really happy because they're going to be really shocked and amazed that you did such a cool thing. But since you under promised, you're not going to get as many people to click through. Now let's flip that around. What if you overpromise and then underdeliver? If you overpromise on a thumbnail, and I see this happening over and over again, in a previous video that I did really recently, people will put Mr. Beast's name in the title or his picture in the thumbnail, and then their video has nothing or very little to do with Mr. Beast. That is a way of overpromising on a video, and that's just a very obvious way. I recently saw a creator where they said they ran a marathon with no training. That was their title and thumbnail combo. And when you clicked onto their video, the very first thing that they were doing was training for their race, and they were training for the half marathon. So their title and thumbnail was that they were going to be running a marathon with no training, but as soon as I clicked, they were training, and it wasn't even a marathon, it was a half marathon. Now, even running a half marathon is a really cool and amazing thing, but since they promised a full marathon with no training, it just sort of fell flat for me. And I think it really fell flat for a lot of other viewers too because they were questioning it in the comments. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use a little bit of marketing or maybe, just exaggerate something just a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you know that people are going to click expecting one thing and then you give them another thing, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. People are going to click onto your video and then immediately leave when they realize that you tricked them. Features versus benefits. Let's talk about this. Now, this is, again, very nuanced, so stick with me. When we talk about, let's say, a feature of YouTube, we're talking about, they have really cool analytics, and it's really easy for you to publish, and you can do shorts, and you can do long-form videos, and you can do podcasts, right? We're talking about the features that YouTube offers. When we talk about the benefits of YouTube, we're really talking about something totally different. We're talking about the amazing communities that are being built and the connections that people are making with each other and the wonderful opportunity to make a living. These are all the benefits of YouTube, not the features. A lot of times, those of us who don't come from marketing backgrounds, we want to highlight the features. We say, well, you're going to get this and this and this and this, and it's awesome. When in reality, we need to switch it around and help people understand the benefits. If I wanted to sell you on starting a YouTube channel, I wouldn't say, it's really easy to upload and you get great analytics. What I should be saying is, this can be a really fulfilling career for you that will make it so that you have control over your time, and it's going to provide a great opportunity for good income, and you're going to build a wonderful community that's going to really enhance your life. Those are the things that I want to use to sell somebody on building a YouTube channel. So that's what you need to be doing in your titles, rather than just saying, in this video, I did this project and I used this and this and this. Really, you want to say, I did this awesome project and here's how it benefited me, or here's how it benefited you. And that's going to get people to want to click more because they are able to apply it much easier to themselves. They're going to understand why it makes sense for them to click. So for example, let's look at this thumbnail, 8 mind-blowing AI tools for content creators 2024. Okay, so here we have the title. Now in the thumbnail, this is where it starts to make a little bit of sense. So their title, I would say, really is just highlighting features, right? AI tools for content creators. That's not really highlighting any benefits specifically, but look at their thumbnail. 5 hours regular, and that's just this person, I'm assuming, creating, and then it says 1 minute AI. So what they're telling you is you're going to save a ton of time by using these tools. So that's highlighting a benefit for a creator. Now, they use their title and their thumbnail to get that message across. But that is the cool thing about titles and thumbnails, is that something that you aren't able to mention in your title, you can mention in your thumbnail. So making sure that you're utilizing both to work back and forth with each other is so key here. Something they could have done, 8 mind-blowing tools for content creators that will, 10x your productivity. That's something that they could have added to the title to make it more benefit driven and less feature driven. Or 8 mind-blowing AI tools for content creators that will 10x your revenue, or something like that. That feels like a title that would make sense on this channel specifically. One other examples, it could be something like 5 title mistakes that YouTubers make. That would be just very feature driven, versus avoiding these title mistakes could double your click-through rate. So that second title, I'm really telling you what you're going to be getting from this video and how it's going to help you. Just be sure that when you create a curiosity gap with these two things, that you actually fulfill the gap in your video. There's no point, again, in getting someone to click if they're going to click onto your video and find that it's not what they needed or not what they thought they were getting. All right, let's talk bonus video here really quick. I'm working on a bonus video just for Channel Makers Insiders that's going to talk through some of the things that you have to know for successful YouTube titles. Now, it's completely free. Channel Makers Insiders is completely free, and it's really just a place for us to talk to people who are serious about getting their channels off the ground. If that's not you, that's totally okay. We are happy to have you here, but if it is you, you know who you are. Go get signed up. Let me know if I've missed any mistakes here that you have made on your channel with your titles or that you've seen on YouTube. I'd love to hear it in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.